The Sonos ones, which are the newest iteration of the Play one, are the ones that have Lady A built in. I did put the Eyes Free Fitness app on my phone, and I'm hoping that, buying some of the workouts through that, I will literally have no excuse not to do it, because my phone is always with me no matter where I go.
Somebody in New Zealand had something about unboxing one very early before the rest of the world.
Yes, Jonathan was very, very happy that when these items come out, he gets them a day ahead of everyone else, because New Zealand is a day ahead.
He should let people know that.
He really doesn't gloat about that enough, no. But yeah.
So, Allison, you use your phone on a daily basis?
The Face ID, I find myself still kind of getting used to this new thing called Face ID.
I want to see the Grinch again this year.
So you want me to come visit? Big smiles. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to yet another episode of That Blind Tech Show. I know it's been a very long time since we've been here. In fact, you've probably heard a lot of us on other great technology podcasts. I know our friend Allison Hartley recorded one of her regular Tech Doctor podcasts, as well as she was on with the great people over at Main Menu. And you may have heard Jeff Thompson on with AT Banter, and I believe he's got another podcast coming out with the good folks over at Mystic Access. And you may have heard me on Blind Bargains, but we finally got the band back together again, and we're here to talk you through some of the holidays and the goings-on now. So I'm going to go ahead and say, how you doing over there, Allison?
I'm doing okay. It's day 3 of a 4-day weekend, so I'm just kind of milking the time off work for all it's worth. I've been reading a good book that I'll talk about later, and eating lots of food, lots of pie, so much pie.
There's never such a thing as too much pie.
No, never.
What about you, Jeff? How has your Thanksgiving holiday been?
Well, pie is a continuum.
Yep.
It's been great here. I've been bacheloring it. The family's been gone, and I'm living it here with the dogs. Happy Thanksgiving.
Woo-hoo!
They think it's Thanksgiving every day now.
I'm actually down in Florida still recording. You see, we're all about bringing you the show. Holidays don't stop us. One thing I was very excited, though, on the plane ride down here, I was very excited. Some of you might have heard about therapy pigs getting kicked off planes. I'm happy to report there was no therapy pig on my plane down here. Just good old Nash and me. How about you, Allison? Have you ever been on a plane with a therapy pig?
I have never been on the plane with anything more exciting than another guide dog, I have to say.
What about you, Jeff? Have you ever traveled with any pigs?
No, but it wouldn't be that bad if it was therapy bacon.
Oh, yeah.
That is true. That is true. And for those of you who did not hear about that story, it's actually not the first time a therapy pig has gotten kicked off a plane. So go ahead and check that out. It was one of the more humorous stories. And, it's great that they stand up for our rights as guide dog, service dog users. But seriously, therapy pigs? Now, Allison, I think you're probably the only disappointed one, because I'm hearing the soup Nazi said no soup for you, no HomePod for you this year.
Yeah, I mean, I have really no reason to be disappointed. I have speakers coming out of my ears, so quite literally right now because I'm wearing headphones. But I am still interested in getting the HomePod when it comes out, or HomePods, I should say, because I want to get a stereo pair. I have my Lady A controlled Sonos speakers now, and I'm finding that is honestly filling a lot of my needs in terms of playing satellite radio and playing any song that I could possibly think of. I do still want to get the HomePods because I hear that the sound quality is going to be even that much better than the Sonos speakers. But I'm not tearing my hair out. If these new Sonos hadn't come out, I might have been a bit more disappointed. But I'm okay.
Now, you said they're going to be better sounding than the Sonos?
They are. They're going to have more tweeters and better far-field microphones for understanding you. The only limitation, in my opinion, is it's going to be Siri. I know this is a controversial subject on an Apple-themed podcast, but Siri is terrible.
You will get no argument out of me. Siri and I, we're not even dating anymore. The relationship is over. And unfortunately, this was not surprising news. Apple, when they used to meet their deadlines, we talked about it this summer. It was a little odd that Apple was talking about this. It almost reminds me of, back 10 years ago when they used to say, there's an attack coming. It's not coming today. It's not coming tomorrow. but it's coming. And I kind of feel that's the same thing with the Apple Pod. They're not going to be out today. They're not going to be out tomorrow, but they will be out probably around the same time that the Amazon app comes to the Apple TV.
I would say you're probably right there. And I would say that when they do come out, they're going to be a couple of years behind all of the other smart speakers with better AI. It's kind of going to be sad almost. I want to see Apple push forward in this arena, but unfortunately, I've played now with Google Assistant. I've had Lady A in my life. I've been playing even with Bixby on a Samsung phone. And yes, you give something up in terms of your data and in terms of your privacy, but when you're putting security above all, the AI and the assistant itself becomes very limited in what it can do. And it's really starting to show in Siri when there are so many more worthy competitors.
Yeah, the Apple really missed the boat on the Home Assistant, and Tim Cook was wishy-washy on it for several years, and now it's just going to be a speaker. I really have no interest. I mean, I'm very happy with my Echo devices. I got a small apartment. I've got one in the living room. They're $30 now over the weekend, and I just don't have. I'm like, well, do I really need another one? And I'm like, I've got one in the living room, one in the bedroom, and I don't spend much time in the kitchen, so there's no point really to getting another one. But you just can't say no at that price. And how was the Google Assistant? Did you like it?
I do. I have a Google Home speaker that I don't have plugged in at this point, but on the Galaxy, I mean, it's just, you can just ask random questions, and instead of saying, let me check the web for that, here's what I found, it actually just gives you the answer to your flippin' question.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. And then you can ask like follow-up questions, and it jives with what you were talking about, and it answers intelligently. I just, maybe the HomePod speakers will come out and something about Siri will blow us out of the water, or something out of the speakers will blow everything else out of the water because they've had a little bit more time. But I'm starting to get a little impatient with Apple's obsession with, I know they want to get it right, and I know they want to have a really polished user experience, but that user experience is starting to suffer because of that need to be so meticulous and so perfect.
Well, I think they've actually having it come out next year might be a good plan for their stocks in a way, because people are buying the 8 or the 10. Those are big items, and you're talking about $349 here. It's hard to compete when everybody else is, flooding the market with these $29 minis and dots. And Amazon, what do they have? 7 different items now in this department?
Yep.
The Look, the Show, the Tap,
Now Google has 3. I mean, it's a lot.
And I'm hearing about headphones, Bose. I think there's a set of Bose headphones, which, I couldn't afford those, but that have the Google Home built into them. So we're starting to see more and more even headphones with these kind of assistants built into them. And I think Apple, they've just been left behind. And not every company needs a home assistant. So I really don't see what the marketplace, unless you are a big music listener, or have capital to spend. I really don't see the point to it. And I guess I don't have a fine ear for music, because I think the Echo speaker sounds fantastic. And everybody I know that's into music says, are you kidding?
Oh, no. Oh, God. No. Especially not the Dot. The Dot is barely passable for spoken word. But even the big Echo drives me crazy because it tries to simulate fake stereo, but it doesn't quite get it right on the one speaker. So it drives me nuts.
What's the opposite of perfect pitch? Because that's what I have.
Either you have it or you don't.
Yeah.
So with the Sonos, you have 2 of them. That's the Sonos One. You have 2 of them.
Yep.
That does perfect stereo?
It does. Yeah, I have them equidistant from each other on a table, and the stereo separation is amazing. It's really beautiful.
Oh, that's great.
Are there multiple different kinds of Sonos? I've just heard phenomenal things about Sonos speakers. Or is there one product line, or are there different kind of product lines for the Sonos speakers?
There are, in the non-smart, non-Lady A connected Sonos products, there are 4 technically different tiers of Sonos products. And it all depends on the number of tweeters that are in each speaker. And with all of them, you can pair to get a stereo pair with the Play 1s, Play 3s, and Play 5s, but they become very expensive. And they have a sound bar, and they have a subwoofer for the television. But you can pair Lady A with a skill now to make all of your Sonos products somewhat controllable via Lady A, but the Sonos ones, which are the newest iteration of the Play one, they look exactly the same except they have microphones, are the ones that have Lady A built in.
Yeah, well, everything seems to be getting smarter except Apple News, which, I often go through Apple News and my subscriptions when I'm putting this show together, and lately I've been noticing there's about 2 articles and then everything goes back 6 weeks, and they just don't seem to be coming out with a lot of content, and as Jeff and I were talking about, a lot of ads. You'll see an article, title of an article, then an advertisement, and then a bunch of text. This is something about Apple and an ad and everything. Jeff, have you been using Apple News, and have you noticed how downhill it seems to have gone?
I've noticed it's changing a little bit. At first, the ads, you can't even read the ads because all it does is give you the description of it, and you have to skip over it, so they're not trying to sell to the blind. The thing that I noticed about Apple News is Apple shuts down at about 4 o'clock on Friday. There's no new news. They just kind of rehash the same stuff until Monday. And it's just like looking for an app update. If I get one on a Saturday or Sunday, someone paid extra to have that pushed out.
Yeah, maybe I should go back to Newsify and actually reading my RSS feed for technology news. I'm not seeing that much content come through there. I was really excited when Apple News came out because I thought it was going to be great, and I enjoyed it at first. I was using it all the time, but now I'm seeing less and less content, and a lot of that content, there's nothing worse than when you're reading an article and like a paragraph into the article, all of a sudden an advertisement starts being read to you. It drives me absolutely bonkers. And Jeff, you actually said, and I'm curious because I read a lot of television recaps in Safari where I'll say Arrow, Season 6, Episode 3 recap, and I'll find an article that'll describe the action, and a lot of times these articles, a paragraph in, it starts reading an ad to me. You just got a pop-up blocker. Now, do you think those pop-ups might block those in-article advertisements, or just really block pop-ups?
Actually, it's not a pop-up blocker. That is native to the Safari app where you can turn that on or off, and it blocks pop-ups. Now, some colleges, if you're a college student, they use pop-ups, so you might want to beware that you might be shutting off something and not being able to gain access to. So try it out. What I got was Purify, and that's Purify. It's a content blocker. And when you get that, you purchase it, and I got it for $1.99. I don't know if that was a Black Friday deal or a special over the holidays, but $1.99. It's a very popular app, according to Nick, my buddy up in Canada. And what it does is it works on your browser. So what you do is you purchase it, and then you have to go into your Safari app settings, go down, and just below pop-up blocker, you're going to find content blocker, and then you have to enable it by turning it on.
Allison, have you ever used any kind of pop-up or ad blockers or anything?
I do also use Purify, and I find that eliminates a lot of the ads on the websites that I use. What I love now also is reader mode for specific websites in iOS 11. If you activate reader now, it's an actionable item, and you can go to auto reader and you can tell it that I either want reader to be active on this website all the time or all the time for everything. So I have some very specific websites for which I just have reader all the time, and I never have to worry about any extra crap on the web page.
Where is that setting where you could set it specifically for an individual website?
When you actually turn on reader and you've got reader selected, then there's an actions available. It might even be available before you select it. One of the actions is automatic reader. When you flick down, you double tap that, and then it comes up with a message that says, do you want to enable reader for all websites or just on this domain? And you can turn it on for just on this website. And so like 9 to 5 Mac, for example, and a couple of other more of the busy Apple News sites I have, since I do so much Twitter reading on my phone, I've got automatic reader turned on, and it's changed everything.
Yeah, that's something I'll have to, I use the reader all the time, but I remember hearing about, you hear about so many new settings, but I've never played around with it. So that's something I'm really going to have to make use of. And by the way, if you're out there and if you know of any specific ad pop-up blocker that might work in individual apps, let us know. You could tweet us in at Blind Tech Show or shoot us in an email at thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. Let us know about that. This next thing is really interesting because I was down here listening. I have an app where I'm able to get any NFL audio feeds and everything. And the one thing that drives me bonkers, because my dad's a little older, so sometimes he forgets, is I'm watching the Washington Redskins game here on Thanksgiving with him, and I'm listening to the Redskins radio. The only problem is streaming audio is a good minute and a half to 2 minutes behind real time. And he keeps commenting about what's on TV, and it's just driving me insane. I'm like, Dad, remember, it hasn't happened again, you know? So one thing that would be nice is if FM radio actually just worked on your iPhone, which supposedly it could, according to this article. We'll put in the show notes that it's built into the phone, but Apple just will not activate it. Have you guys been following this story? I know it's been in the news a lot lately.
I've heard two things about this. I've heard that Apple, for whatever reason, has just decided not to activate it. But then I've also heard that the newer modems actually don't have the FM radio, so it's a moot point.
Okay. What about you, Jeff? Have you been following along to this?
Yeah, I have. But, to me, it's like, am I dying for it? I don't know. I really don't know.
I think it'd be nice just, to be in real time. I don't understand why they can't get streaming audio to be at least maybe, a second or two behind. I mean, it's such a significant difference. I've got to put on Do Not Disturb. Otherwise, I'll get notifications about a score in a game, minutes before it happened. The fascinating thing is during the Yankees playoff run, I went to my local bar with a pair of my headphones with FM radio, and sure enough, FM radio would get it like 30 seconds before television would get it.
So there's no perfect solution.
No, there's not. I'd be like, I'd yell out, "Damn it!" and people are like, "What are you talking about? They get to throw the pitch." So yeah, there's no perfect solution.
I like tune-in radio. I like stuff like that.
Yep.
If there's an emergency or something, we got those alarms that go off and everything. I don't see myself turning it on. I don't know. It's so interesting. There's so many resources, so many different avenues that I can get information that just one more to be on the phone. And then where's my antenna?
Yeah.
It's now that we're Bluetooth, everything. So do we have to wrap it in tinfoil? I don't know.
You just hold it up in the air while you're walking down the street, like an umbrella. Am I getting a signal now? Damn it, the signal's better over here. It's funny because the one thing my headphones don't get is AM radio.
I think it's just as important to think about this. Now, do we really want that on there? Because everyone was so excited when, your Amazon device could make phone calls. As soon as you make that phone call, you're standing there for about 2 minutes going, I can't walk away.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
No. And like I said, I've said for a very long time, the worst app on the iPhone is the phone. And it's also my least used app. I wonder if I could take it out of the dock and put it on page 9.
You could, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been down here in Florida, like I said, for a week and everything. So I've been in a lot of automobiles, which in New York City, I'm not in cars a lot. And I've noticed my phone still thinks I'm driving sometimes.
My phone thinks I'm driving when I'm not when I'm not even in a car. I'll be laying in bed and all of a sudden the Do Not Disturb while driving thing will pop up. And I'm just reading a book and you go away.
But do you have a waterbed? So maybe you're moving.
Too much coffee.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no waterbed, but it's crazy. I wish I have it set on activate manually, so it should not be popping up at all, but it's driving me nuts.
Real quick for our millennial crowd, waterbeds were beds with water in them in the 1980s. Look them up.
California has regulations on water.
Yeah. Right.
The other thing is, someone told me about the notifications, that while you're in a car, if you turn it to, the Bluetooth setting in your car mode, that's supposed to trigger it. I don't know. Sometimes some things are on, some things are off.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I've got mine set to manual where I'm supposed to be able to turn on. I have read in a lot of places, and I think we may all be running different versions of betas, or some people may be having this problem, others may not. And supposedly some people claim it's fixed in a certain beta. I don't even know if I'm running that beta. I think I'm one update behind. There's been so many betas out that I can't keep up with them. And a lot of updates coming out too. I notice all the time I seem to have 80 to 90 updates every few days because I self-update. What about you? I know you guys self-medicate. Do you self-update?
Well, I'm constantly working on self-improvement, self-updating. Oh, you mean apps? Yeah.
Yeah, the apps. I like to make sure that I like to read those little release notes. And the worst is we update our app fairly regularly. And we're not going to tell you what we're doing.
Nope.
If you got a self-improvement app, would that be self-defeating?
I don't know. You know what? Email us in and let us know what you think. You know, a lot of people are big fans of the Star Wars saga, but have you guys been following the Blindfold Games saga?
It's been rather epic. Yeah.
It has. There's been multiple parts, you know, and then we even had, my favorite was Blindfold Games Strikes Back, you know.
And they did, to their credit.
They did. They struck back hard. I'm a big fan of the games. Blindfold Uno is, I've bought plenty of them. I know some people don't like them. I think Marty does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
And I love the trivia games, and there's nothing like when you've got, you're sitting in a store, you got a few minutes to kill. I've actually set my Blindfold Uno to unlimited scoring, so I've got like 30,000 points in there. It just keeps, just every time the computer gets within 10,000 points of me, I think it's cheating, you know. But he really does a great job with a lot of those games. Marty is a businessman, and he makes these games, you know, out of his love of making games for the community as well as to make money. And
well, sure, why not?
I couldn't believe when Apple was telling him he needed to roll them to have less apps in the App Store. It really seemed like Apple didn't know what they were talking about. You could Google Marty's website. I'm not sure the exact site, but blindfoldgames.com probably, or just Google it. And he's got a blog that'll explain everything that happened if you're not aware of it. But I was really shocked at the stance Apple took against him starting out.
I can summarize briefly if you'd like. I've been fairly involved in reading about it. So essentially what happened was, and there's a whole detailed timeline on the website.
Start with episode 1.
In episode 1, Apple was going through the review process for some iOS 11 related updates for Marty's games, and they noticed that a lot of the games use the same template. Now, Apple technically has a rule that apps cannot be clones of one another, and not looking at the content of the games, which are all different, decided that these games are too similar, and so we're going to have to reject these updates because the templates are too similar and you have to make the gameplay different. Well, the whole beauty of the Blindfold games is once you know how to play one, you can pretty much figure out, several more. So Marty defended himself and said, look, while these templates are all very similar, the content within them is very different. But Apple didn't want to hear it. They heard they're like, 80 apps is too much. You have to compile them into less amounts of apps. So Marty's stance, with which I agree, is that then that would make the apps too large to download because they all contain different voice files and sound effects. So they're already, pretty sizable downloads anyway. And it would hurt discoverability. For example, if all the card games were in one app, somebody might only play one or two, and that might hurt his chances at making more revenue. And the man's got to be able to make some sort of money off of this.
Sure.
I get it. So eventually it came down to a lot of members of the community, myself included, advocating with Apple to make them understand that this is a different type of situation than just the average, Yahoo up there trying to clone a bunch of Flappy Bird apps, for example. And it worked. They eventually understood and had a conversation with Marty about, hey, we understand that these games are different and now it's okay. And the review was passed, and Marty, at one point, he was going to be taking down the games because he just didn't have the resources, either financial or time-wise, to do the rewrites that Apple was starting with. So I'm really glad that this ended up ending happily. And I got into some real Twitter spats with a couple of people who really think that it's just blind people whining. No, it's people advocating for games which are truly different in the App Store. And yes, blindness does have a little bit to do with it because we have a shortage of accessible games as it is. So don't take our choices away.
Would you summarize saying basically that Marty, basically after the Clone Wars, beat the Empire?
He did.
Yes.
Yes.
yes. A Star Wars theme, but not to make light of it. It was great that Apple reversed its course. And Jeff, any comments? Were you following along the blindfold saga?
I was more or less following Allison on Twitter. I'm stalking again, Allison.
Oh, no.
But Jonathan Mosen wrote a letter. Other people in the community got going on. It was nice to see everybody come together for that. You know, like some people were pretty negative. They were saying like, oh, yeah, they come together for this, but not for jobs, you know.
Some people were jerk faces about it, and I will call them out for that.
Other people were saying like, oh, Apple, they played the blind card to Apple. It's not that. It's like Allison just explained. It's more like that. But it is kind of neat to sit back and watch how different people rise up to certain things and other people take sides. And, you know, the bottom line is the guy's doing something, he has to make money. If he bundles them all up and you only like one of them, you're not going to buy 8. You know, it makes sense, business sense for him. And I'm glad Apple saw it that way.
You know, I think he's got a great price plan because yes, he's got a ton of games and nobody could buy them all. You could test them out. You know, he gives you a free amount of games with each one, which I think is fantastic. How many mainstream games out there allow you to test it out before buying it?
It's true.
So basically what we're saying, Marty, stay strong.
And may the force be with you.
You know, something that just came to the App Store new, and I've got to actually take a look at this because I haven't exercised since last millennium. Eyes Free Fit, Blind Alive, some of you may know it as. I looked up Blind Alive. I couldn't find anything related to exercising. But if you look it up under Eyes Free Fitness, and this just came to the App Store last week, and I looked through it. You know, you got to buy the programs, but it looks like they got a ton of different exercises in there. And I know they've been around for quite a while and on a lot of podcasts. Have either of you guys ever done any of their exercise programs?
A long time ago, I bought Cardio Level 1, and it is really great and really descriptive. I did it a couple of times. I'm really, really bad with sticking with exercise routines, no matter how accessible they are. So it's really a motivation issue. It's not an issue with the workouts themselves. But now I did put the Eyes Free Fitness app on my phone, and I'm hoping that, you know, buying some of the workouts through that, I will literally have no excuse not to do it because my phone is always with me no matter where I go.
Yeah. How about yourself, Jeff? You're an outdoor mountain man. Have you ever indoor exercised?
I was actually testing her website with her, so I got to get a few of those. And she was next to me in the booth at ACB in 2016. It was in Minneapolis. It was really fun. It's really great that she's taken it to this level now that you can even hook it up to your health app inside your phone, too. So it's...
Wait a minute, there's a health app in the phone?
Page 9, Brian, page 9.
Page 11, yeah.
It's next to all my pizza services.
So I suggest if people want it's Eyes Free Fitness. It's well described. That's the whole intent of it. She uses people who are professionally trained to come up with these exercise routines, but then there's also some stretching ones and all that stuff. So it's pretty versatile, and they got some yoga stuff in there. And then there's a product. Yeah. Lots of good stuff in there.
Yeah. My only complaint about this app and what she does is she makes the rest of us look lazy. Can I set a New Year's resolution in November where that's my plan is to exercise? And, you know, a lot of people say they want to get in better shape. I would just like to get into a shape. So...
See, it's a good time for me to get back into this because now I'm walking, you know, every day with Gary and with our neighborhood in Napa being so walkable that I actually am in a little bit better shape. So I feel like these exercises would be really great, you know, especially if on the weekends when we walk less, it would really help me to get in even better shape. I'm still a far cry off from where I want to be, and I still eat too much, but that'll never change. So.
I don't even eat that much. I just eat all the wrong things. I've learned if I like it, it's bad for you.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I don't find that I eat like these ginormous portions. I mean, although I do like a healthy portion of food, but yeah, it's not the good things. It's a little light on the leafy green vegetables and such. Although I like fruit.
You know, one of the main things about exercise and all this stuff that we're talking about is the mindset, and it takes a while to get your mind wrapped around it. I've been using a trainer it'll be coming up on a year, and I finally got my mind wrapped around it after 10 months. I mean, it really takes something. I used to be in really good shape. I used to do a lot of stuff. I used to run and all sorts of stuff, but I'm not being chased anymore, so, you know.
My favorite line, do you still run? Only when chased.
Yeah, I think people who want to get back into it, sometimes it takes a little commitment. You can buy these for from $19 to $25 or something like that. But you have it. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. It's
Yep.
accessible, and it describes all the stances, all the positions. It will describe stuff. So if that's what it takes to get your mindset to get involved in it, it might be a good start for you.
Yeah, and you can get as out of breath or sweaty as you want, as quickly as however quickly it takes, and it doesn't matter because it's just you. And yeah.
But make sure you have your phone notifications for driving set right.
Yeah. Either that or, in my kind of condition, make sure you have 911 on speed dial. I got a good workout, though. We're recording this the day after Black Friday. It's not even Cyber Monday yet, but you'll hear this after Cyber Monday. And it was a low-tech Black Friday for me because I got some clothes and everything, no technology. But I wanted to ask you guys, what about yourself, Allison? Was it a techie Black Friday, Cyber Monday for you, or no?
No, because I bought what I want throughout the year. I don't have the impulse control to wait 3 months for something to go on sale on Black Friday. I just buy it when I have the money and when I want it / need it. So Black Friday / Cyber Monday are always kind of a bit of a letdown for me because I'm like, oh, this thing's on sale. Oh, wait, I already have it. This thing's on sale. Oh, wait, already have it.
Got it. Need it, And,
yeah.
I just went shopping at Allison's place. I just walked through her house. I'll take that. Ain't got it.
It's not a big tech year for me because I'm not upgrading. I do need to get a new keychain because I have one of those keychains with the lightning charger, and for some reason the lightning charger broke from the keychain. So one of the things I heard somebody talking about was, I've got all these kind of what I call lipstick chargers where you have to plug the cord into the charger. I heard they've now got a charger out there that has the lightning charger built into it as well as a USB built into it, and I think I'm gonna probably get something like that.
Send me that when you find it, because send me the link. Yeah, because that is something that I love my Anchor batteries. I have the ones that are like even 20,000 milliamps, which are a little bit bigger, but I just put them in my purse. But yeah, you've got to have the cables for your Apple Watch and for your micro USB devices and your lightning cables all together, and it's a little bit much. It gets to be a little bit much to carry around.
Jackery makes a couple of these. One is a 6,000, one is a 10,050, claiming the X needs more power, so they made that one. They do have two cords. One is the lightning port cord, and the other is for all the Android stuff, your mini USB plug. And there's a third, you can plug a USB into it. So technically, you can actually have 3 5-volt outputs going at one time. My concern, since there are dedicated cables on there, are you committed to that? What if the cable goes bad? I don't know. But it does get a 4.5 out of 5 ratings on Amazon. Myself, I like the big ones.
Well, yeah, send me that one.
Because size does matter.
It does.
Yeah. Hey, this is a PG podcast.
What we're talking about batteries.
Oh,
I must admit, I like big batteries.
I've heard that about you. Now, Allison, you've had the iPhone 10 for a while now. What are your thoughts?
I basically really like it. It's nice and fast. I like the size. I have it in a leather case because it's glass on both sides, and I do not trust myself with glass on both sides. And I have dropped it, and the leather case has saved me a couple of times. The Face ID, I find myself still kind of getting used to this new thing called Face ID. I find that it's very accurate. I find that even when it doesn't get your face, it learns from the experience, and it has been consistently doing better, but it's not as fast as Touch ID. The gestures for bringing up home and app switcher are pretty fluid and elegant, I think.
Are you used to doing those after having to press on the home button for so long, or does it take a little training yourself?
I'm used to it now. I've had the thing now for a couple of weeks, so I've gotten it back into my muscle memory now that this is just what you have to do because there's no home button. And luckily, I'm not using any other older devices to confuse me. That's convenient. But yeah, it's never going to be as fast, I don't think, as
So, Allison, you use your phone on a daily basis?
Pretty much almost every minute of every day.
Are you happy with the purchase? Are you happy with the upgrade?
I am, because I wanted the latest and greatest technology, and now I've got it, and I realized that sometimes that comes with some caveats. So I am happy with it. There are some times, though, when I have just become resigned to entering in my passcode. For example, if I'm laying in bed and I want to unlock my phone, I don't want to have to sit up, put the phone all the way in front of my face, get Face ID to authenticate me, wake up the husband, wake up the dog. So I just enter in the passcode, and that's even become a little bit faster.
My dad was having trouble with his phone recently, and I finally found out what the problem was.
Yeah.
He's running an iPhone 4.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. I said...
Wait, you said it's running.
Yeah, barely. Yeah, he can make phone calls. That's about it. Said, no wonder you're having so many issues with everything else. And yeah, he's getting ready to get a new one because my mom did order the iPhone 10, and he's going to get the hand-me-down. I guess he's going to move up to a 6, which is all he really needs because he doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be quite an upgrade for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but my mom's got the 10 coming. She's got the. She ordered it online and has the 2 to 3 week wait. So I will not get to play around with it while I'm down here and everything. But I've been listening to you on with Dr. Robert Carter, not to be confused with Dr. Richard Kimball. Not that anybody but me.
Not to be confused with John Kimball. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought of Richard Kimball immediately, but I'm probably the only one that did that. So, but you guys had a great walkthrough of the iPhone 10, and somebody in New Zealand had something about unboxing one very early before the rest of the world. Which
yes, Jonathan was very, very happy that when these items come out, he gets them a day ahead of everyone else because New Zealand is a day ahead.
He should let people know that.
He really doesn't gloat about that enough, no. But yeah.
Allison, did I hear you do laundry every now and then?
Every now and then, I the house elves or my husband will not comply, and I have to do my own.
Are you testing out that new GE? Was it the GE product that you're testing out?
Yeah, so I have purchased the GE talking laundry box, and actually we were in the market for a new washer and dryer anyway, so we got the compatible washer and dryer, and I've actually been doing a lot more of my own laundry and enjoying the heck out of it now that we have this talking machine because it's so easy to set. All you really have to worry about is the start button and the little knob that controls the settings because of the different wash cycles, because it verbalizes everything. You turn the knob, it verbalizes if you're on like cold wash or towels and sheets or casual wear or bulky items, and you press start and it says starting load on bulky items with an estimated 70 minutes remaining. And there's a button on the box that you can press if you need an update of time remaining. And the dryer is much the same. You just mess with the one knob. You can set your cycle and it just works. Our old washer and dryer, we had the little arrows marked, but the one thing would spin and there was another arrow that you could accidentally move, and Jeremy was really the only person who could set it without getting the other thing to spin. So I'm glad to be able to have some agency over my laundry once again.
And this works with all GE washer and dryers, I believe, right?
So on the website, it does say that should be compatible with most. It should be compatible with the ones that have the ports in the back. The technician ports. But then it says these are the compatible models, and it lists just a couple of different models, the slightly more expensive, that are compatible. I think that you can get this to work with older GE models if it has the port for technicians to hook up, but it's better, I think, in terms of the software working as optimally as it can if you can buy the newer ones.
Yeah, full disclaimer, if your washer and dryer is from 1974 and is GE, probably not going to work.
I do laundry, and the thing on my washer and dryer, mostly my washer, is there's that plastic cover that covers things up so you can't really tell the dial. So I took a needle nose pliers, and it was excruciating sounds, but I got that piece off of there. Then I put some little markers on there. So now I finger down there and I just turn it, and everyone uses it that way. So yeah, I don't recommend anybody to take a needle nose and tear that apart unless you know what you're doing. But yeah, that's how I access that.
Yeah, when you're like me and you live in New York, it's great because I've got like Fluff and Fold where they pick it up and deliver it, and it's pretty cheap. And yeah, I'm spoiled like that. I think I've mentioned that on the show before.
Yeah.
One of the things we did want to mention to the listeners, if you do not have KNFB Reader, you're just making your life harder. It is a phenomenal app. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe it's on sale at least through Christmas for about 50% off. Normally it's $100. I believe now it's $49.95. Go ahead and get that app. You'll make your life a lot lot easier if you want to read your bills or anything along that.
I really think if you're a student that's the app to have. Seeing AI is a good app for convenience. It's just a quick shuffle through the mail. But if you're going to do bulk reading or if you want to save it and all sorts of things, that's a workhorse, the KNFB Reader app.
Now, luckily, I think all of us have easy names to pronounce, but I have a friend named Keith Stroak, and every time I tell Siri, call Keith Stroak, it says, did you mean Keith Shulstrom? Did you mean Keith Beyer? It drives me bonkers. I have to go in and manually do it, and we'll put this link in the show notes. Did you know that you could teach Siri how to say names properly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I was the one who didn't. By the way, ask Siri to pronounce Charlize Theron, because I heard that's another name that she can't pronounce.
Oh, boy.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, so if you're one of those people and your name is Mustafason or something, go ahead and read this link, and maybe you could teach Siri how to read your name and everything.
The trick about it is that it asks you for the first name, and then it asks for the second name. Well, I didn't know it was doing that, so I said Lori Thompson. That's my wife. And then I said Lori Thompson again. I wondered why it asked me twice. So every time she called, are you sure you want to call Lori Thompson? Lori Thompson?
Yeah.
So I left it. I thought it was kind of cute.
That is.
Now, Jeff was a great guy, and he posted, happy holidays to everybody on the Blind Abilities Facebook page, and I chimed in with my typical bah humbug, and he thought that was, the happiest he's ever heard me. And that's because he didn't hear how mad I was that my old Grubhub app that I've been running for several years, because Grubhub has refused to update, is now officially dead. I finally had to update it, and I don't know what I'm going to do, because this happened shortly before I left New York. I kept getting server error, and I could not do anything, so I had to update the app. Grubhub, prepare for the barrage, because I am going to be hammering you every day now with fixing your heading navigation. I don't know.
Now that your life depends on it, yeah.
It's
time to get that Blind Alive app, get that exercise going.
Yeah.
Screw Grubhub.
I still got to order dinner. I still got to order dinner and everything.
Try Postmates. Try DoorDash. You said Eat24 doesn't have a lot of choice.
Heard about. So yeah, that's one I want to check.
Yeah, Postmates is also very good. Unfortunately, in Napa, our only choice really is Eat24, and that only has a couple of options.
Yeah, one of the other things I plan to do when I get back from Florida is, because I've been running my old laptop here, my Mac Air, and it's so nice because it's running Sierra, and things have been running so smooth. Well, as soon as I get home, one of my first acts to do, I'm rolling High Sierra back. Have you guys? I know Jeff's been running High Sierra. Allison, are you still using High Sierra, or are you using?
I am, and for the limited number of things that I do on my Mac, it's absolutely fine. I haven't really had any problems.
Editing text, when you're working with a lot of text and emails or documents and everything, it just befuddles me and everything. Sometimes you gotta use the option key. And I did report this to Apple. QuickNav does, when you use QuickNav with words, it does not follow the insertion point. We did test it. It is getting kicked up to engineers. There is a navigation problem with QuickNav in High Sierra.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm using the betas, and it keeps on changing, so I don't really complain about it. I just keep using it, and I know it'll get better, so I just putz with it.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, you said you're running the latest beta, and it's you've noticed an improvement. So maybe it won't be the first thing I do with it when I get back to New York. Maybe I'll give it one more update. I am not running the beta, so I never run the betas on my computer. And word to the wise: if you value productivity, do not run those betas. So
yeah, or have a partition on your hard drive or a separate hard drive on which to run them.
Well, my MacBook Pro, I'm not doing the betas on that, so I can always go back to that if I need to. But I usually forget that I'm slowly tweaking my muscle memory, like you said, Allison, and pretty soon I'm just readjusted. Changes happen, and I don't know.
Yep.
Chit 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 chit. Oh wait, do we have to pay now to use that song? In a more positive segment, I know we've rolled through some negativity here. We don't want to be negative all the time, but these are just some things that were pissing Bryan off now because Bryan's been known to get pissed off. I always like to hear, what you guys watching, what you're reading, especially the holiday time of the year. There's a lot of great content out there. Netflix just seems to be piping everything out. Allison, what you watching, what you reading?
Well, I'm still trying to work my way through Narcos. I have not had as much time for Netflix recently, but I've been reading this really great book. I'm not sure if it's available on any of the freebies, unbarred or Bookshare's not free, but it's practically free. I got it off of Audible. It's by Brandon Sanderson. It's called The Way of Kings. It's part of the Stormlight Archive series. It's an epic fantasy series, long books. The first book I think is 45 hours long, and I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. And it is absolutely amazing. And it's quite frankly taken over a lot of my life this holiday weekend. So, but it's amazing.
Well, we're thankful that you were able to fit time in for the podcast.
I did have to interrupt my reading to
that 45 hours, that might take me 4.5 years to get through.
Well, I read at speed. I'm not going to lie. I crank it up to 3x and I can understand it just fine. So I'll get through it pretty quickly. But there's then 2 other main books and then a little novella in the middle to read. So
that's a big one. It's going to
be 10. It's going to be 10 books. So
wow. Yeah. Wow. What about yourself, Jeff? You been reading anything, watching anything? I know you've had some time alone there. Or are you just thinking in the dark?
I really got nothing. I guess I am thinking in the dark. Family's been gone, and I've been catching up on a bunch of other things that I haven't been able to get back to. And yeah, I got to get back to it. So sorry I don't have anything to contribute.
Yeah, that's okay. Jeff?
Oh, sorry.
I just finished down here with my parents. They were very nice, and they watched, because they're cited with the Scred video, the second season of Stranger Things, and the first season, if you have not seen it, is phenomenal. I said to myself, I don't know how they're going to do a second season. It was really good. So it was very enjoyable. And if you have not checked out Stranger Things on Netflix, you're definitely going to want to check that out. I know we're going to watch another series on Netflix that just came out. I'm blanking on the name. The guy that was in Dumb and Dumber, not Jim Carrey. Jeff Daniels is in it. It's a Western that just came out on Netflix. I'm hearing great things about it. Of course, like I said, Godlessness or Godless or something. It's a great Western, and I've heard from other people It's very good and everything. And I've still got the same 4 books. It's so funny. I'm one of those people that loads up all the audio digital content to all the devices for the travel, and then I end up listening to podcasts that I have on my phone during the travels. Man. So, like I said, this is That Blind Tech Show. We're gonna wrap it up here. We are at Blind Tech Show on Twitter. thatblindtechshow@gmail.com. If you want to email us in, let us know what you think. Let us know what you like. You can download our feed through the Blind Abilities podcast feed of your podcast player of choice, Victor Reader Stream, or download the Blind Abilities app. Allison, what do you have coming up the next few weeks leading into what's that holiday? Christmas.
Just a quiet Christmas at home. Going to take maybe a couple of days off and just probably still be reading the Stormlight Archive, honestly. although I may do a reread of Harry Potter. I lead such an exciting life.
Nothing wrong with that. What about yourself, Jeff? Family coming back, or have they given up on you?
My folks, for 17 years, they've been going down to Texas, but they stayed up this year for the holidays, so I got to go spend time with them Thanksgiving. We were all up there, and so they're here, so we're going to have Christmas there. And my daughter and grandkids will be coming up mid-December. We try and offset it each year. And so, yeah, a lot of family holidays, and I want to see the Grinch again this year.
So you want me to come visit? Yeah, I'm not a big holiday person, so Thanksgiving, I guess, is our big holiday, and we just wrapped that up down here in Thanksgiving. I'll be heading back to New York in the next few days, and it's funny. I'm sitting here in shorts, and it's 80-degree weather, so it doesn't feel like November, and then I'll go back to the 30-degree weather, and amazingly, Nash is not even shedding that much here in Florida. You think he can get rid of that winter coat, but he is panting like it's August. This is That Blind Tech Show. Maybe we'll have one more before the year. Hopefully, all of our schedules have been so crazy. We haven't been on a regular schedule. We plan to hopefully eventually get on it, but for now, we are out.
When we share
what we see
through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
limited expectations and the realities
of blind abilities. The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.